Watch the smoke rings rise in the air blue. Dream, that's the thing to do. Just watch the smoke rings rise in the air.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome to Let's Go TV. The idea for the show is to focus on events and things happening around town. For this first episode, it's a little choppy, just trying to figure out the way the show should be structured and exactly how to put it together. But it's pretty good. Went around and filmed and edited a few mini documentaries about different stuff happening in town and different things going on. So enjoy the show, and if you have any comments or questions or ways that we can make the show better or ways that you want to contribute, get in touch and yeah, enjoy.
I'm Ryan Woods, and this is a show of paintings and drawings at the Green Artery, which is a house on Rogers Street that's also the house of Aaron Toby and Jeff Grant. Yeah, we're having the opening tonight for the show, and it's getting started now. So the show is called Men and Beasts, and it's a lot of the figures that are in the paintings that are kind of like, in many cases, you know, it's usually like a human figure and a non-human figure. It's somewhat the relationship between them, and also maybe having to do with just like the nature of some of the, you know, human figures that are in the paintings as well. The whole idea of like the two figures being together started with this painting that I made in. There was a screenplay called Bent. In concentration camps, there's these two men who fall in love with each other, but they can't express this in any ways. So they have to just like, you know, express this from great distance without ever like touching each other or being around each other, and with the like tension of the distance between them. So the first one of those things that I made was just these two characters, you know, and their kind of like communication with each other. And so I think all the ones since then are just like some kind of variation off of that, and maybe less serious or more, you know, serious for different reasons. There's a painting called Forgiveness, and I think, you know, it's kind of a silly painting, and I think that in a lot of ways, like I started with this character that was like this big fluffy bunny character, and I was painting this woman next to him, and it just didn't seem right because the relationship that they had seemed too like sinister or something like that. Like this like big man bunny thing was like, you know, looking at this woman. So it kind of became this older woman, and it got painted that way. And I think I like the relationship between the old woman and the bunny because I feel like she's kind of forgiving him for his like giant man pink bunny costume. I don't know that I always know a really specific thing, and I don't think I would be offended or, you know, or it's not my intention that people would get the same thing from it that I get from it. The drawings are just, they're ink on paper, and they're from sketchbooks that I had. And I never really intended them to be taken out of the sketchbooks or anything like that. But I think for me, since I'm like on tour playing music a lot, it's a way to work on artwork. Like my way of making paintings is very formal, and I have to have all these materials and all this stuff. And I really never thought of myself as much of a person that does a lot of drawing. But over the years, I think it's a way of me like working on things when I'm away from home. Well, I guess a lot of the images that are in the drawings, or like the motifs, or the little figures. You know, they're things like corpses, they're things like ghosts, they're things like, you know, little creatures. And I think that like they're not the most positive things, but when they're put together in this kind of thing, it's more decorative. And so I like that they become kind of like these like pretty happy, positive kind of scenes, or like they're kind of cute even though they're like these like corpses or things like that. So I brought a lot of a couple different prints that could be a little bit cheaper, and I also brought this short story that I wrote recently called Marcel. And Marcel, the character, actually kind of becomes like a motif in a lot of the drawings and paintings. So I don't know, it's a kind of way, talking earlier about like the narrative that I have going on about the things, it's maybe a way to at least, have a more specific, if someone reads this story, they might have a more specific idea of what I was doing in the drawing or the painting. And it's kind of interesting to me to be able to put some words to my ideas.
This is the second show we've had here at our house, and the first one was just my own art a couple months ago, and so we haven't really done too much of this style of function. The fortune is just that we have a house that is big enough to have an event like this, and we have a really large front room that has really high ceilings that kind of lends itself to viewing and just exhibiting art. It's a way to bring the art experience, or the experience of viewing art out of a traditional gallery setting, just into a more intimate setting, and making it obvious that you don't have to be in a very specific kind of established gallery setting in order to experience art.
It's really cool that like Paper Crane opened in town, but with the art hospital closing, there aren't a lot of options for gallery things, and I guess even with the art hospital, it was a house space. I think it just works well for Bloomington. I don't know if it's so much a choice. It's like, I feel fortunate that, Aaron and Jeff asked me to do it at the house. But I think, it feels a lot more comfortable to have friends over just to a friend's house than a more formal gallery setting.
The idea is that it'll become more frequent, or that it'll become something that we do regularly. And so I guess I approach Ryan because we've been friends for a long time, and I like his art. I think he's a great painter and otherwise a great artist. And I mean, it's kind of an easy step to talk to your friends first about getting this kind of thing going, which I feel totally fine about. And so, just the idea of having a kind of a venue like this, that a non-traditional venue that can kind of regularly maintain, have openings just like the Sofa Gallery at IU does, or maybe it won't be as consistent as all that, but that's what it maybe would strive to achieve.
Okay, here we go.
So I'm Dave Walter. I'm the co-owner of Plan 9 Film Emporium. It actually started life as Video City, a video store in Martinsville, Indiana, in 1982. And it was started by Carrie Scott, whose father ran Cinema 67, a drive-in theater there between Martinsville and Mooresville. And so Carrie was born and raised surrounded by exploitation movies, and his love carried through to the video store that he started, which the specialty was always, like music videos and horror and sci-fi, that kind of stuff. As luck would have it, that was the video store that we went to when I was a kid. And so yeah, from a very young age, I was exposed to these very videos, a lot of which, the video boxes were where I really fell in love with movies. So these movies, a lot of them are like the exact movies that just like, I would just geek out on the box. My father is good for staying a long time in a video store, so when Dad and I would go to the video store, would just sit there and, I don't know, creepily obsess over these stupid video boxes. I remember being just totally, that just disturbed the shit out of me. I felt like, I had nightmares about what that movie might be about, and just, I don't know, strange stuff. Where's it?
I was just walking by one day and it said video store. It's up my alley, so.
Blockbuster's is just evil anyway.
Right.
All the alternatives are really evil.
And the selection here is so much better, and I really like the way they organize it, how they organize it according to directors. So if you have a favorite director or you want to see a film by somebody you like, it's much
That's
easier
true.
to find something.
Plus the selection is just
Selection's great.
incredibly obscure. They've got an amazing selection here.
When I came here, I was completely amazed because they have so many things, like all those American movies I can't find in Belgium. I found like a couple of movies that I wanted to see that I found here. So.
And see, these are some of my favorite boxes in the store. Fucking love this shit. I'm sure you may remember the Faces of Death series, really grim stuff. But in the wake of the success of the Faces of Death series, we had Death Faces, which is the first. This is one of my favorite video boxes of all time.
Nothing you have ever seen can possibly prepare you for what you are about to witness. We will reach into the deepest catacombs of your mind and show you things that will mortify your very soul. Forget Freddy. I love. This was Freddy on Elm Street. The last house on the left stands vacant now. And they put these in caps like these are. They can't say the title of the movie, but they act like it is. And then all the names are hilariously bad, and the movie itself hilariously bad. Forget Freddy on Elm Street. Forget it. That was the thing. I was an obsessive collector of like big box VHS at quite a young age. I think I was probably like maybe 6th grade when there was this company called Video Mania out of Chicago that somehow out of a Fangoria, I think I subscribed to their newsletter. This was like $40 to like a 6th grade kid. But I was like, I gotta have that. These are my most prized possessions in the stores are the big box videos. My two favorites are Midnight Video and Wizard Video, but their boxes are always just so neat. Midnight Video in retrospect is not as impressive as Wizard Video because mostly they just got the movie poster, but their arrangement and graphic is nice. That looks good. I actually met the guy who does Wizard Video. These are kind of dud bullshit ones, but they always feature really intensely, garishly painted, but nicely, very competently painted covers. And then like the backs are just neat, I like the layout. Love their logo. And it's always just like these neat, like just the tactile quality of these holding them.
Well, I've already picked out the Deadly Spawn. I'm just thinking about expanding my horizons a little bit more.
I've been trying to get into Larry Cohen's social horror films, so I'm looking forward to that.
It's a documentary, Confessions of a Superhero, that I've already seen it and I love it. I want him to see it, so I'm gonna grab this today.
And I'm just returning a couple discs of Mad Men. I love that show.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to rent this one for a while, the God Monster of Indian Flats, but it seems a little heavy to me. Very grainy footage of the trailer.
So we mentioned previously Wizard Video, my most beloved of the big box VHS companies, and most have hit this. They're probably the guy that got the most movies from was Jess Franco, and always, without a doubt, just great covers for these. Lurid, but well done, and just like really classes up the movie. Although generally the prints that they had of the movies were pretty bad and real cut up, and that made the movies not really make any sense. But nevertheless, the boxes were a masterpiece. I paid $30 for this and was as a young kid and money. I didn't get an allowance. I didn't get shit. So it's this is a big chunk of change for me. But I still love it very much. But the movie is wretched, completely horrible. Buried Alive. I don't know. Just something about it. Just the Buried Alive concept is already just unspeakably horrific to me. And then I found this box that'd be just tons of nightmares were sprung from this box for me. This exact one, in fact. I have a big box VHS of this somewhere, and it was because it's called The Gates of Hell. That's not really. This is elements of the box art, but the box art on the VHS is way more impressive. But it was Gates of this one. To my circle of friends was just like you just see it up on the shelf, and that's that one. You go to hell if you watch that.
It's good. I'm just kind of moseying around. There's so much to look at, so I'm just kind of taking my time. It's fun to go through it. So come across movies that are older that I missed before. And I guess you don't get that with Netflix. So.
It's kind of sad because I've got like a favorite place in Brussels, which is like this one, and it's just closed like 1 month ago because they were not making enough money. So yeah.
I really like the feel of this place.
Yeah, I like giving money to a local business that they obviously have the same passion for film that I do, and I like helping them out. Fans of film should stick together, I believe. So.
Hate these kind.
Yeah.
Stupid kind of case.
So, well, our band is Balmer, which is myself, Justin, and Nathan Balmer, and Justin Balmer. We've, I guess these are my songs that I started writing as a teenager, and I got my start playing out live in Bloomington. I used to play at Rockets Pizza back when they did these Sunday shows in probably like 2000, 2001. I had a show at the Secret Sailor, and been coming down, was coming down here during college for shows like that, and been around Bloomington ever since.
I think it's good for video production.
I'm Dave Segedy. I'm in Sleeping Bag, and we got started last March of '09, and I was a fan of Almar's when I was in high school, before I knew him as a guy, and now I'm on a split with him, so that's cool. Well, I wanted Sleeping Bag's first release to be kind of, not a full length at first, kind of like a small, introduction to the world, and Valmar is really good, so figured, do a split with Valmar.
Yeah, I guess Dave kind of pulled it together real quick in about a month. Just like, I think maybe we could get Standard to do this. They put out Era and the Furnace Records, and yeah, they did. And they were saying how we could release it in November, so we should probably record it within 2 weeks or something. And yeah, so we cranked it out.
Are we together in this moment? Or are you living in the past? In those little memories that inform your daydreams.
I'm drumming on his side. I'm not drumming. That's not his stuff.
He's not even in the band.
They did it behind my back, man. I mean, I didn't even know what was going on. Then I was like, hey, what?
I'm just this guy's rodeo clown, and I did print the sleeves, I did the layout, I provided some low end to the record.
Low end.
It was recorded in my basement.
Yeah.
So I helped out.
Pretty low.
It's a shame.
Split at your local record store. Landlocked, TDs. They got
Sweet
it.
Hickory.
Sweet Hickory.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Cherry Carey.
I hate that. I hate that. Well, so what are you making? It's like, what am I not making? Get off my case. My name is Joshua Plug, and it's Dutch it means plow, and I'm from, at the moment, Mexico/Los Angeles. It's been really nice. This is like a secret cafe style brunch, which is good because I do enjoy doing both dinner parties and secret cafes. I don't get to do these quite as often, you know, because logistically they're more difficult, you know, because people come and go, and as opposed to a dinner party, everybody sits and they eat the same thing. It's not like they get choices, you know. It's more not dictatorial and more of a soiree, and this is a little bit more like a restaurant.
So, and back in April, Joshua and I were touring got on a tour on the West Coast for Microcosm Publishing. He was doing his cookbook, I was doing an art show, and Joe Beal was doing a documentary, and Joshua's been doing this for a long time, and so he'd be coming through the Midwest. So we thought it'd be fun to get a brunch together. Jeff and Aaron were starting their art gallery with Ryan Woods' paintings being the first thing, so they wanted to do like an event afterwards to get people a second look at the art, and just the timing worked out perfect.
Everything going okay out there, yeah? Don't burn yourself. Not that you would, but I did, so it's fine. I've been here once before in 1994, and it seemed quaint. And my friend was stalking John Cougar, and she was totally bizarre. She used to lie and tell people she was his daughter and/or girlfriend, which is kind of perverse in so many ways. But you know, it's what she was like. No, just in the tofu.
I used to live in Providence, Rhode Island, and we would do like brunches and dinners like this, like set it up like a restaurant, just kind of like a speakeasy little food thing. So when I first moved to Bloomington like 7 years ago, we started doing them, and then they kind of have happened here and there since then. And I just moved back, so I'm pretty excited to do one again, a little one-off speakeasy restaurant style.
I did Secret Cafe in my house in Seattle, and that was interesting. I would research a menu. I would go to like the library and find out stuff about different varieties of cuisine, and I go to whatever, if there was that type of, I would pick an ethnicity every week essentially when I did the Secret Cafe. I would go to the restaurant if there was one. So if it was like Indonesian food, I'd go to the Malay or Indonesian restaurant, and I would start bothering people about how to make something vegan, and of course every time they're like, no, you can't do that. Oh well, my uncle's vegetarian and he does this, he puts this in there. And so I started getting some more ideas on how to use spices and different things to like kind of make it more interesting. So it developed as a very down-home style. At the time, cooking schools, there weren't very many vegan ones, and they were very expensive, and a few, like the one in Boulder, was for special diets. They placed people in homes. I really wasn't that interested in working as a personal chef at that point. I'd done it for some friends in exchange for room and board, and I didn't really take to it. I'm more social than that, and I like to run around, so this dinner party idea came up, and I put a cookbook together, and then the only way I had to promote it was the model of punk rock bands. So the first thing I did, I was living in Oregon, and I had printed up this little book. I just booked a tour to California through my old band contacts and went down there and did dinner parties and cooking demos and buffets at shows and a barbecue. And so that began. It was basically taking the Secret Cafe on the road. I have like a 15-page single-spaced list of different items I've come up with that they pick items off of it, and it's kind of intimidating. I did it at first just to shut people up that are like, you don't work in a restaurant, you didn't go to cooking school, and I was like, psh. It's like it's my dismissive way of like going, shut up, here, look at this. I was proclaimed chef by the people about 7 years ago. And I consider that they know what they're talking about. So
I mean, it's just awesome getting to watch someone that's so good at what they do their thing. It's just cool, like, not only learn about cooking and stuff, but you can also it's always fun to see someone doing what they do best. Just appreciate, like Joshua is very much in the punk DIY style, like self-taught chef, like didn't go to chef school, so, and I do like graphic design and stuff, and I'm also self-taught, so it's cool to see someone, be at that level and also self-taught. I can really appreciate that.
My friend Sue Moffat from Toronto convinced Joe and the Microcosm people that they absolutely needed to do something with me, so the original plan, because Microcosm also publishes comics, was to try to get someone from their stable of comic artists to make a comic book adventure story of this guy looking for the ultimate recipe, and the recipes were going to all be in the captions. And due to when the deadline was, the artists balked at that, and we're like, that's just too crazy. And so we, they went and did their thing, and I did mine, and it came together pretty well. And yeah, there's a crazy little tomato that looks like Hunter S. Thompson as the protagonist. And yeah, I didn't put any input into it other than make some dancing food, have some, the adventure has to be cool. Where's the abominable snowman? I didn't really have much to say about it. They did a good job on their own.
It went really good. It's cool I love when all the buddies come out, and it was like 20 people here at one time, so it was a good time.
Thanks for being such a great boss.
I was on my lunch break, I almost started crying. The boy at the top of the bridge, he didn't jump, but if he had, he wouldn't be the only one who thought that he had to give in. And he said he didn't have it all that bad, and I said I didn't have it all that bad. But I snuck off to parking lots, playgrounds after dark, my parents' basement while they were asleep. I didn't talk with a list, but just like all the stray boys did, I didn't talk about who I had kissed. And now you don't really have it all that bad, and now I don't really have it all that bad. But I don't kiss you at the grocery store, and I don't kiss you at the library. I don't kiss you at the rest stop on the interstate, and I don't kiss you at my parents' house when they're not asleep. I was on my lunch break, I almost started crying. It really does get better if you wait. And there are times now when I still feel afraid, but gone are the times when I feel ashamed. And so for all the kids that really have it pretty bad, for all the kids that never had a chance, maybe I should kiss you at the grocery store, and maybe I should kiss you at the library. Maybe I should kiss you at my parents' house, and maybe I should kiss you at the movies. Maybe I should kiss you when we go out to dinner, and maybe I should kiss you every night before I fall asleep, and maybe I should kiss you at the rest stop off the interstate on the border of Georgia.